Hey everyone, imagine you're on an important phone call, a call that could change your whole day. Suddenly you hear the loud, heart-stopping cry of a child. Daddy, Mommy collapsed. We're starving. What if I told you that this very moment happened during a millionaire's business call? Today I'm going to share the unbelievable true story of how one cry interrupted a high-stakes call and changed one man's life forever. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll see that even in our world of business and technology, the smallest voices can make the biggest difference. Let's go back a little. In a tall, sleek building in the heart of a busy city, there was a very rich businessman. He had the kind of office you only see in movies: shiny tables, big computer screens, and gadgets that seemed almost magical. This millionaire was busy taking a very important conference call with his top team and investors. Big numbers, big plans, and big ideas were being discussed. Everyone on the call was focused on charts that showed growing profits and plans for even bigger successes. Now imagine being in that room. Everything is perfect. The plan is set. And then, without warning, a cry comes through. Not the usual, "Can you repeat that?" but a loud, trembling voice saying, "Daddy, Mommy collapsed. We're starving." Suddenly, all the business talk just stopped. The voice wasn't from any of his colleagues. It was from a small child, and it was real. In that moment, the call went from talking about money and deals to dealing with life and love. At the very moment when the millionaire was explaining some big idea, his phone started to crackle with the sound of a child's cry. Picture him sitting in his fancy chair, speaking confidently about future plans, and then, bam, a tiny, scared voice breaks in with those unforgettable words. You can almost see the shock on his face. For a split second, even the strongest voice can pause. And that pause filled the room with a heavy silence that no one could ignore. Everyone on that call felt the change. The discussion about numbers and investments seemed so far away compared to what that single cry meant. It was as if time slowed down, a moment when the important stuff in life made itself known. Even though the businessman had built an empire with his wealth, that cry told him that no amount of money could ever replace the care for his family. So, what happened after that shocking interruption? The call stopped. The millionaire and his team were left in a state of stunned silence. They quickly realized that the cry wasn't just background noise. It was a message, a cry for help from a family in trouble. Now let's talk a bit about how calls work in the world of business. Every phone call uses invisible signals, like tiny messengers, that travel through the air. These signals carry voices from one place to another in a blink of an eye. Usually everything is smooth and clear, but sometimes these messages can bring unexpected sounds that remind us there's a whole human world behind the business talk. For our millionaire, that one cry was both a technical interruption and an emotional wake-up call. In technical terms, the call was recorded and even analyzed later by experts. They studied the interruption carefully, like teachers studying a student's mistake to learn a lesson. In simple words, the call became an example for everyone. No matter how important the work, always be ready to listen to the real needs behind the call. Imagine you're playing your favorite video game, and right when you're about to beat the final boss, your game suddenly freezes. It's shocking and unexpected. That's kind of what happened on that call. The business talk froze because life sent a message that it demanded attention. I bet you're thinking, why would a millionaire with all his fancy offices and big deals care about a call like that? And the answer is simple. Even when you have lots of money and power, your heart matters more than any business deal. That child's cry, "Daddy, Mommy collapsed. We're starving," carried emotions of fear, pain, and a desperate need for help. It reminded everyone listening that behind every business decision, there is a real family with real feelings. Let's be honest. Sometimes grown-ups get caught up in numbers and forget about the human side of everything. When I was a kid, I loved cartoons and games. But even then, I understood that a friend in trouble needed help. In our story, the cry broke through all the busy work talk and reminded the businessman and even his team that helping people always comes first. After the call ended, the businessman couldn't simply continue as if nothing had happened. Instead, he started asking difficult questions. How did a single cry change the whole mood of an important business call? What did it mean for him and for everyone on the call? He couldn't shake the thought from his mind. He thought, money can buy many things, but it can't buy love or stop a cry for help. Soon this realization led him to make some big changes. Instead of focusing only on making deals and increasing profits, he decided to care more about the people around him. He reached out to the family and he began using his resources to help not just his business partners, but entire communities. He funded food banks, arranged medical care, and even created programs to support families in crisis. His business, which once was only about numbers, turned into something that could help save lives. This change was not just about charity. It soon became a lesson for his whole team and for other companies. They learned that sometimes, even in the middle of high-tech meetings and business charts, a small voice can remind us of the big truths in life. It was a moment when technology and emotion met, and that meeting changed the way they saw the world. Let's dive a bit deeper into the technical side, but in simple words so everyone can understand. Our phones work because of tiny signals called waves. Think of them as little invisible messengers that carry your voice to your friend or your boss. These signals travel very fast, faster than any car or airplane you know. They help us talk to people even if they're far away. But here's the cool part. These messengers can sometimes carry more than just words. They carry feelings too. On that call, the tiny messenger brought not only the businessman's confident voice, but also the deep, painful cry of a child. Even if you're not an expert in technology, you can understand that sometimes things happen that remind us there is more to life than just work. It's a bit like when you're using a walkie-talkie. You might be talking about your day, but suddenly you hear your little friend say, "Help, I need a snack," and you immediately drop everything to listen. That cry is important because it comes from the heart, just like the cry on that business call. The lesson here is that our tools, no matter how smart they are, should always be used by caring hearts. Technology is amazing because it connects us, but it is our feelings and actions that give meaning to those connections. Now let me share another example that might help you connect with this story. Imagine you're in class working hard on a math project. Suddenly, your friend in the back of the room calls out that they forgot their lunch and are really hungry. Even if you're busy, you drop your pencil and run over to help, right? That small shout from a friend can change your day because it matters to someone you care about. That is exactly what happened on that call. The cry, "Daddy, Mommy collapsed. We're starving," was like the call of that friend. It was short, simple, and full of emotion. It made everyone listen closely because it reminded them that sometimes the most important things in life come in the tiniest packages. Whether you're a millionaire or a 10-year-old in school, every voice matters and every call can change things. and sometimes even change lives. I want you to remember this. Always be alert and kind. Every time you hear someone in trouble, even if it's a small cry, you might become the hero who helps. It doesn't have to be a big business deal. Sometimes a tiny act of kindness can be as powerful as the biggest decision made in a boardroom. Now, let me share something personal. Even I, when I was younger, remember moments when something unexpected happened. Once I was playing outside when a friend suddenly shouted, "My kite is stuck on the tree." It wasn't planned at all. At first it was funny, and we all giggled because it was so unexpected. But then we all rushed to help get the kite down. That memory always reminds me that sometimes unexpected moments, even if they cause a pause, lead to something wonderful, a chance to care for someone else. In the millionaire's case, that cry wasn't about a lost kite. It was real, and it brought a hard truth to the office. It was like a scene in one of those exciting cartoons where everything stops for a moment and the hero has to make a choice. Continue in the familiar and safe routine, or take a brave step to help someone in need. And guess what? Our millionaire chose the brave step. He chose to care first and think of his family and the community over a business deal. Some people might even joke later about how even the richest man can't escape the little things in life. It's like saying, you can have the fanciest toy, but if your best friend is crying, that's what really matters. And that mix of humor and honesty is what makes life so interesting. It reminds us that no matter how high we climb, we all have to listen to the small voices that matter. What makes this story even more interesting is how it changed the way many people think about business. After that call, the millionaire and his team looked at meetings, phone calls, and even emails in a new light. They learned that behind every technical conversation is a human story waiting to be told. Some companies now even use this story as a lesson in training sessions. They say, remember, even the tiniest interruption might be a message from the heart. This change is not just about being nicer, it is also very smart. Businesses that care about people tend to do better in the long run. They can see problems coming early and solve them because they listen more closely. It's like having a secret power that turns money and numbers into kindness and care. And who wouldn't want that kind of power in today's busy world? Imagine a school where, during class, the teacher always listens when someone has a problem, even if it's a small knock on the door. That school would feel warm and friendly, and everyone would help each other out. Companies can learn a bit from that too. When they stop and listen to a cry for help, they can create changes that benefit everyone. And this millionaire learned at the hard way with one unforgettable call. Let's revisit that powerful cry one more time. Daddy, Mommy collapsed. We're starving. These words spoken by a small child remind us that no matter how hard life gets, family and love always come before everything else. If you think about it, money can solve many problems, but it can never replace the warmth of a hug or the comfort of knowing someone cares about you. In our everyday lives, whether we are young or old, this truth is always there. When you look at your family or friends, you know that they are the most important part of your life. In business or school, it is easy to get lost in work, homework, or games. But sometimes a little surprise, a shout or a cry, comes along to remind you, hey, look around. Your loved ones need you now. That lesson changed the way our millionaire worked. No longer was he just chasing numbers and profits. He made room in his life for compassion and support. He found that by helping others, he also helped himself. When we care for one another, we all win. This is a message for everyone. Whether you have a big office or you're just starting school, always take a moment to care. Now let's mix a little bit of technical insight with some life advice. Modern business calls use very smart systems. These systems record every word and every sound. Experts even use special software to study what happens during an important call. They look at the data, like when the call drops or when a new sound comes in, to learn how to improve communication. For example, many companies now have backup systems in place. If a call is interrupted, the system automatically alerts someone to check if there is an emergency. It is like having an extra pair of ears that listens for trouble. Even though technology is very smart, it can never replace our natural care for one another. This story reminds us that behind every beep, every signal, and every call, there is a person with a story, feelings, and needs. So whether you are interested in how computers work or you just want to know how to be a better friend, remember every little sound might carry a big secret. And don't worry if you're not a tech genius. Listen to your heart and follow the clues of kindness. That is the best lesson technology can teach us. As we near the end of today's story, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we learned. That one call from a busy millionaire's important business meeting was interrupted by a child's desperate cry. In that moment, all the talk of deals and profits was forgotten. What came through was a reminder of what is most important: family, love, and caring for one another. This story shows how a split-second interruption can change a whole day and even a whole life. It teaches us that no matter how big or small we are, our actions and our hearts count. From the boardroom to your classroom, listening to those around you can make all the difference. Even if you're busy, never miss a chance to help someone out. Sometimes a tiny voice carries a message that is more important than any business plan or homework assignment. In my opinion, this story is a bright reminder that life works in mysterious ways. We often think that success is measured by money or power, but the real treasure is found in compassion and care. I hope that every time you hear a cry for help, whether it's from a friend, family member, or even a stranger, you remember this story and pause to offer kindness. It might be one of the most brave and wise decisions you ever make. And now, my dear friends, we have reached the end of our story. Remember the powerful lesson of the millionaire's call. Always listen to the voices around you, because even a small cry can change the world. If you enjoyed this video and learned something meaningful today, please give it a thumbs up. Leave your thoughts in the comments and share this story with someone who might need a gentle reminder to care.